want to honor everybody's time, but would love to hear. I know where Corinne is from because we live in the same community, but maybe Corinne, Lee, if you want to pop into the chat or even unmute for a moment where you're tuning in from. We always love to meet people and make this a little less formal and connect with whoever's on the call. So feel free to put that in the chat or unmute if you would like.
Hey everyone, sorry my camera's off for a bit. I'm just getting home. Be home in like 2 seconds here. So yeah, just calling from Calgary, Alberta.
Awesome. From the thriving community of Ogden.
Yeah, I'm just leaving Freshco actually. So I'm like, I have enough time. Oh no, I'm running out of time.
That's right. I'm glad to see you, Corinne. Corinne and I know each other from dance years back. So she's a great dancer too. And Lee, where are you tuning in from? Would love to hear. If you want to put it in the chat, or if you're not available, that's okay. There's no pressure. Okay, well, maybe you'll tune in a little later, but want to introduce ourselves. My name is Connie Jacob. I'm the Director of Community Engagement here at Certified Flourishing Coach. We have Cynthia. Cynthia, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Thank you so much, Connie. I am Cynthia, the Director of Client Experience and Operations for Flourishing, and just really excited to be here with you today, Connie, and also Dr. Wayne Hammond. Definitely our team is amazing, and I just love how we're making a global impact. I was just saying before I press record that we had a webinar last night. It was about 2 hours for the Philippines, and it's with a group called iLeap Consulting. And so Dr. Wayne and our founder, Abe Brown, did amazing sharing about the science of flourishing and how the strength-based approach is actually supporting people around the world.
Yes. And so that's what we want to dive into a little bit. And we're so grateful, Dr. Wayne, that you join us for these webinars so people can understand a little bit about the evidence-based coaching that we do, but really what is flourishing, where it comes from. You've been studying this for years. I'm such a fan. We are such a fan of what you do and what you're about and the extensive research that you've done on this. And so Dr. Wayne is his own entity, really, aren't you, Dr. Wayne? He's created something called the Flourishing Life Questionnaire. He has been studying the art of flourishing for many years, is a university professor, has extensive experience in this, and we're just so grateful that you are our senior advisor here. And so, Dr. Wayne, take it away and share with us whatever you would like to share about flourishing.
Okay, well, it's a pleasure to be here tonight, and a pleasure to spend some time with you, Lee and Corinne. So I'm making the assumption you're kind of interested in the concept of coaching, and so that's a great adventure that you're embracing. My background's a clinical psychologist, and so I've had a history at working with people from hospital settings to counseling settings to community intervention, First Nations, just kind of a spectrum of experiences. But one of the things I really came to appreciate was this idea of a purposeful coaching, because there's so many people out there that not necessarily are experiencing levels of, challenges or confusion in life that they need to be with a personal counselor per se, but rather need somebody who knows how to come alongside and help them to sort of explore where they're at, what their passions are, maybe some of the things that might be holding them back from maybe stepping out and experiencing their full potential or some of their aspirations in life. And so the idea of coaching to me is just an amazing pathway and a privilege, really, because you get to come alongside people and help them to explore what's really important to them and to create that safe environment that they can be upfront about some of the things that might be, of concern to them. But you're sort of being then trained to how to take that journey forward, how to sort of identify. And this is where I believe what flourishing coaching is different from so many things else, that it's not about discovering what's wrong with people. It's actually more of a journey of discovering what's right and using that as your starting point to talk about potential change and how people can realize their potential. One of the challenges we have, because the medical model has been such a strong influence, is that when we talk to people and say, well, what's your problem? This is what's wrong with you, and here's what I think you should do. There's a number of negative effects that come from that. One is that people start to live up to the negative expectations that we place on them with the labels. And the other is that we create dependency. The individual starts to see you as the expert, therefore you have the solution, therefore I should do what you want. And what we found in the research is that that model actually, the success rate of people truly making changes in sustainable and successful ways is probably less than 15%. Whereas this idea of coming alongside people with this belief that they actually have the potential inside themselves, they just don't know it yet. And that's really what this relationship of coaching is all about. It's discovering what's the aspirations and goals of the person? What are the things that they're already doing right? And how can we do what they're already doing right and use it to help them to facilitate success in other areas of their life? So it's a strength-based approach. It's about building people from the inside out, not trying to manage behavior or correct behavior. It's my belief that everyone has a story, and in that story, they've experienced things in life that have taught them to see life a certain way or see themselves a certain way in the world around them. And sometimes that is skewed because some of those experiences have been maybe not the most supportive or challenging. And so as a coach, you have a privilege of coming alongside and sort of helping them to write the next chapters of their lives in a way that starts to make sense for them. It actually is meaningful to them. And therefore, you're heightening the motivation for them to be making choices because that's what's important to them, not because you told them to do it. So they're taking ownership of their own journey and therefore discovering things that they never really even thought possible. But you're playing that critical role as a safe sounding board. You're that place where they can trust somebody. You're that person that's inspiring them to think differently or explore possibilities. And then you take them on that guided path. You start with small successes and you scaffold that. And that's really tied to another really important part of this whole idea of strength-based or flourishing coaching, is this idea that we're actually inviting people into experiences that rewires their brain. It starts to help develop new neural pathways because you can learn something, but that doesn't mean you're actually going to act on it. You only actually learn something when you actually experience it, and therefore it actually creates the hormones that you're looking for, those positive hormones. And then the brain actually restructures itself. It actually starts to develop new pathways that as you repeat that experience, that's what becomes the conviction. That's what starts to become their default pattern of how they cope, think about life, and interpret the world around them. And so part of that then is all based in this neuroscience. So not only is it about different from traditional counseling or even sometimes other coaching models, is that our approach is based on the idea that we believe people have the potential to change. We believe that they want something successful. We believe that they actually want to be part of something good and give back to community. And so the other part is the neuroscience. Like it's not just wishful thinking. There's a strategy that actually, as people develop new coping mechanisms or experiences, you're actually preparing them to develop a new template on life. It's about seeing life as an opportunity. It's seeing life as that they're important to the success of things around them. And therefore, it's that idea that, it's sort of that growth mindset out of Carol Dweck's work, where we're inviting people to step out of their comfort zone. I actually think if you are working with people and they're not feeling some level of angst, we're probably not doing the right thing. Even with my own children and raising them, I kept telling them, my job is not to make your life easy. My job is to mess your life up. And so this idea is inviting people to try something. Yeah, but I don't know I can do that. I did it before, it didn't work, or I'm anxious about it. You're on the right track. That actually means that you're inviting people into areas where they're not comfortable with, but yet in your guidance, in your support, they're going to learn that actually challenges are actually how they learn. It's about making mistakes, learning from it, taking a step back and trying something different, becoming cognitively adaptable. And that is the pattern that we want to invite people into, because we don't know where they're going to be 5 years from now. But if you give them the right tools, if you give them the right skills, they're going to manage life in a way that you never thought possible. And so if you do meet them down the road, you're going to have this amazing opportunity to share a story with them. Where have you been? What's your journey been like? And if we set the right things in motion, you're going to be pleasantly surprised about how they've taken control of their life, how they're created successes that you maybe even didn't think possible when you were working with them. And so that's really the adventure that the Certified Flourishing Coach Model presents. It's a way of doing that's about respecting people. It's about believing in people, but it's a very purposeful journey. And it's about rewiring the brain for success and guiding them. As part of that, you'll learn to use a questionnaire that I developed. But part of it is that, because my belief is that if you listen to their story properly, you're actually going to find the solutions. You're going to find the next steps that you need to take as a coach. And you'll be learning about that in your model. And in many ways, there's a lot of coaching models out there, but I do believe that what the Certified Flourishing Coaching Group has done is put a spin on coaching from problem solving to potential solutions. That, in my mind, is the difference. And what we know in the research is that when people start to own their own journey, start to realize that they actually have the skills to create success in their lives and can actually step out of their comfort zone with confidence and believe in themselves, their chances for sustainable success is around 80%. There might be something in life that really throws a boomerang at them, but then that's probably a chance for you to refer to get that specialty help that they need. That doesn't mean you leave their journey or your pathway with them. You just need that extra support. And so in many ways, I don't believe people make choices in life to mess their lives up. I actually think people just don't know what skills to bring to the game. They don't know what to act on because they've never experienced it. They've never been taught, or they've never been guided. And so in many ways, my belief is that if you want to nurture a different way of coping, different habits, different ways of behaving in life, we need to teach people the right skills. But we also need to create a relationship where they start to believe in themselves and that they realize that life is not about being stress-free. Rather, it's about enjoying the sense of all of our emotions. Sometimes we will be fearful. Sometimes we will be sad. Sometimes we'll feel angry. But if we know how to work through that in constructive ways, those all become stepping stones to realizing our greatest potential. So it's about really becoming our truly human in many ways. And so when I take a look back at 30 years of practice, I would never go back to the deficit model. I would never go back to trying to fixing people's problems. That just creates a cycle of dependency. Rather, it's an amazing opportunity when you can work with somebody and they actually come to the end and say, hey, you know something? I got it. We're okay now. I need to kind of start my own journey for a while, and I'll give you a call back when I need to go to the next level of life. And so that's the amazing opportunity that you have. And for me, that aligns with my personal values because I believe that people have amazing potential. They just don't know it yet. And when we treat them that way, when we invite them to experiencing that way, they'll own it. And that's what creates success. And it's not because we did something magical. We just respected their dignity. We respected who they are as a person, but we also played that safety role for them and a guiding role that facilitated the success they're experiencing. And that's why coaching is such a privilege. It's about not being the expert. It's about becoming that type of support system that the person feels safe, they feel valued, and they're willing to step out of their comfort zone and follow your guidance and experience things. But it's their story, not our story. I don't want them to live up to what I think they should do. I want them to live up to what they want to live up to and what they want to experience. And so that's the journey that you'll be on. And it's a lot of fun. It's tough work. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that, but you'll feel good at the end of the day because the tough work has results. You'll see the changes. You just have to be patient sometimes, and other times it'll come quickly and it'll catch you off guard. And that's the fun part about this whole journey, is you're working with people, and sometimes we're unpredictable. But there are some basic ideas about how we as humans function and how we create success. And that's what the Certified Flourishing Model is all about.
Wow, that is so great, Dr. Wayne. I don't know if I ever get tired of hearing you talk about helping people. And it really shows that you care about people and that you want people to grow. And I think that's what I value so much about you and all of the work that you do. It's interesting. I was just out for coffee with an educator who took the FLQ, the Flourishing Life Assessment, and he was ranting and raving about it. He's like, this has just clarified so much for me. And he was on a coaching call with Heather Bell Williams, who you know. And he said the impact that assessment had on me, and then the conversation we were able to have in a coaching call really targeted it. It allowed me to think about growth, think about what was right, and see where my opportunities were. He loved the growth plan that's a part of the assessment. So it's just so interesting to hear the feedback from people who are diving in. And so I just wanted to let you know that, as well as everyone here. It's nice to hear people who are finding this work very impactful. And I think that's why I love it, is because we're seeing that this works.
Yeah.
And so what we would love to do right now is give everyone here an opportunity to be able to ask Dr. Wayne any questions. I noticed, Van, you had a question in the chat. Did you want to unmute and ask that? You're more than, I caught you eating. Yeah, I'm like a server.
Hi, Dr. Wayne. Thank you for sharing your insights. I'm Vian, and very interested in the work you do, obviously through Connie. I know what you're doing, but I thinking about coaching in general, especially the flourishing coaching.
Yeah.
Like, we know that humans, right? Like, we all need to be better and treat each other better. And I was thinking, do you think that like everybody should be like, have to go through a flourishing or coaching of some kind to make us better humans, even if they don't want to make a career out of it? Because it's almost like that concept of listening.
Yeah.
And all the things that you learn in coaching. It's like, what do you see that being? Do you see it being pushed as something that everyone should kind of get on board with?
Yeah, like I agree. As human beings, we were designed for relationships, right? That's how we work. That's how we interact. And I think we have a society that puts so much of an emphasis on the individualism, that you have to kind of pull yourself up by your own bootstraps and stuff like that. And I'm not a big believer in that. I do believe in taking responsibility for our lives, but in the context of relationships, especially, so there's a study out there that talks about positive change, and especially in adults. And it's stated that two of the biggest factors for positive change is when you're in a relationship where you feel valued, respected, and safe, and that you have an opportunity to talk about things that are meaningful to you. That's 85% of the positive change factor. Reading a book on depression or reading a book on a self-help is less than 15% of the change factor. So I go back to your insight, is that absolutely we should all have relationships in our life. And I oftentimes refer to them as inner circle people. These are the people that you trust, and coaches kind of start to fall into that area. Because you could have a lifelong journey with a coach. This isn't about just solving a problem. Sometimes coaches play that role for people. It's almost a combination of a mentor-coach relationship. I think there is a difference, because coaches are trained to be specific on moving you towards certain goals. But having a caring relationship where you can talk about things and know you're not going to be judged, you may be encouraged to and challenged to step out of maybe certain thinking that might limit you and things like that. But no, I think you're absolutely right. We should be encouraging this. And we're seeing more and more of it, especially in the corporate world or the business world. You're seeing a lot of health plans now switching over to actually including this as a paid service. And so there are huge opportunities, I believe, for the coaching industry if it's done properly. Like if we can't go in and show people that life's going to be different for you 3 to 4 months down the road, then that's a problem. But I think that's the reason why Abe and his team has really been purposeful on preparing you. And what I really like about it is that they have ongoing support for you. They actually become your coach as you coach, right? And so you've got that series of supports that really play an important role. I wished I would have been bright enough 20 years ago to figure out that I needed a mentor in my life. I would have probably been a very different person. But, sometimes, we kind of think like we've got our act together in life and we just continue on. We just don't realize how much we're missing out on when we didn't have somebody maybe kind of coming alongside and said, well, maybe there's a different way to think about this or to do this. So
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And also want to say that because you didn't have it, that's probably why you're doing it today. So thank you. Sometimes the people who don't have it are the ones that drive the line to get what other people need because they know what they didn't have. So thank you.
No, it's kind of some people call it. Maybe I'm a slow learner, cautious learner.
Well, I like you a little bit more now, for sure.
Great, Van. No, thanks for that question. And Corinne, did you have a question or a comment? I think she's trying.
Sorry.
There you are.
Yeah, it takes me a while when I'm on my phone to unmute for some reason. I was like, you think after 3 years I would master Zoom, right? So yeah, no, as I messaged Comedy, I'm like, oh my goodness, this dude speaks my language. It's just, thank you so much. I'm just so honored to be here. It's just everything that I've been feeling for the last couple of years. It's like a couple of years in my own practice and stuff like that, working with families and in the nonprofit section. So yeah, no, I'm really excited to be a part of Flourishing. So, and to learn more. So thank you so much.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Corinne. What's just out of curiosity, you're in the nonprofit sector?
Yeah, I work as a family development coach. I do parent coaching.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah. Like, I mean, if you really think about what you're being trained to, I used to do a lot of work with Woods Homes in Aspen and some of the other community organizations in town here. And I wished we had something like this for all the frontline coaches or program workers, because it would have been an eye opener for them in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, and that's very true. That's something that we're noticing in our work is that people are really appreciating this type of an approach. And I really liked what you said there, Dr. Wayne, about 15%, of change comes from, say, reading a book or, as we say, oh, you could go on YouTube, you could learn, 3 ways to manage your anxiety. But the reason why it doesn't work is because you don't have anyone walking with you for the rest of that. And I really, that stat really sobered me up, is that perhaps maybe knowledge isn't it only, but we need more. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the things you'll learn in your coaching model is that knowing something and experiencing it are 2 different things. And I think that's always the goal that you want with your clients, is you can tell them something or help them to understand something, but when they experience it, then that's when they truly solidify that as something they value. And then therefore it becomes something that they're willing to continue practicing. Yeah.
Wow. So good. And Lee, I don't want to leave you out in case you had a question, just feel free to unmute and just to let you know, Van, you can go next, but Lee, if you'd like to ask a question or even put something in the chat, you're more than welcome to. But Van, go ahead.
So this is a question regarding, I'll preface it this way. I had someone who's been in my mentor / coaching circle, I'm going to say within the last 5 years. That's all I'll say. So no one will know who I'm talking about. And so they were coaching me or saying something about something that I was doing with speaking and whatnot. And it was really good. And I'm like, that's what I want to be. That's what I want to do. And I was doing it. And they were like blown away by, that's where your money spot is. That's where your sweet spot is. And they were like, well, I don't do it. And like, I've done it once and it was amazing. They said, whatever, but I don't do it. I'm like, so you're literally coaching me to do something that you don't actually do yourself. And you're like, yeah, because it's terrifying. Because you've actually just said that, like, you know, I can't remember what exactly the word was, but basically a good coach can, you know, kind of tell you things or whatever. But I guess the question is, do you find it hard to live out what it is you're trying to tell others to do? And is that ebb and flow from, I'm not doing it, but I know what to do, so I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to try to get back on track? Or do you just keep plugging through, knowing that you know what to do, but still not have the courage to follow it through? I don't know if that.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, like my belief is that you can't give away anything that you're not experiencing. That's my starting point. But I'm also not coaching to people because I've got my act together.
Yes, I got you.
Yeah, you know, because you just have to talk to my wife for 5 minutes, you'll figure that out. What I am interested in though is that as a coach, you're probably embracing many of the concepts that you're asking your client to. What does it mean to persevere when you're not sure? What does it mean to try things and know that by trying, you're actually starting to solve the problem? You might not get to, you know, like there's some basic things that I do in my life. And so one of the most precious gifts you can give to your client is to let them know that you're human. Hey, I make mistakes. I feel afraid sometimes, you know, because they need to know that you're coming across as authentic and that you're genuine. That's the magic that you're going to have with your clients. Because if they think you got your act together all the time and that you're, you know, then they have a sense of, well, I can't live up to you. You know, you're so far down the road. You're not even in my space. And now that's not mean that I pour my life out into a person and say everything, but I can empathize with where they're at. And therefore, because I've been on that journey and I'm in the journey now, then that gives me the ability to relate to what they're experiencing. And yeah, like, you know, I think sometimes people can identify things in you and they may not be good at it, but they've recognized the gift in you. And therefore, it's more about how do I facilitate you embracing your gift and experiencing it, as opposed to, I don't have to be an excellent speaker to help you, because you probably have giftings that I don't have. And you've probably got skills that I don't have. But one of the things I have learned is oftentimes when I'm working with people, I sometimes walk away thinking that I got more out of the session when I thought they got out of it, because I have you know, and that's what I hope you will develop is you develop a learning attitude. I'm going to learn from everything I experience in life. And how I coach today, you know, what I learned yesterday is what I use to coach today, but what I'm experiencing today makes me a better coach tomorrow. And that's the journey that we're on, concept.
Yeah. So good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we want to thank you all for coming. We want to make sure we honor everyone's time, just because we do say it's a 30-minute webinar. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Cynthia, maybe you could let us know, what is the best next step for anyone who's interested in this? We would let us know what we need to do.
For sure. Definitely the best next steps is to schedule a call with the person who invited you to this webinar. The reason because is I believe that there's a relationship already there. And also I'm here to support as well. I will put my Calendly link in the chat if my computer will allow me to. Other than that, yeah, next steps is to connect with the person who invited you. And then also we have a certified flourishing life coach training coming up at the end of April 29th and 30th. And so it's going to be a training that you probably don't want to miss, because you're going to get to experience that FLQ that Dr. Wayne has put together. And also you get to tap into what it means to be strength-based and how to lead from that space.
That's great. Well, everyone, that's your next steps. If you're interested, we would love to support you. There is the Calendly in the chat. Make sure you copy and paste that, because we're about to end in about 30 seconds. So get it now, get it while it's hot. It's in the chat. But Dr. Wayne, thank you so much for being here with us. We appreciate you and all that you're doing in our world and what you've brought. And I always feel such honor for you, for being such a path creator for people who want to make a difference, and how you invite people into that and you empower people. We really honor you for being such a forerunner. So thanks for being here with us.
It's a pleasure. You guys have been a blessing in my life today. Thank you very much.
All right, everyone. Well, have a great night, everyone. See you soon.
Thank
now.
you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.